Are you kidding me? That is one of the most disrespectful acts I've ever witnessed by a professional athlete towards their coach, one of their coaches.
Are you kidding me? That is one of the most disrespectful acts I've ever witnessed by a professional athlete towards their coach, one of their coaches. You saw the clip. You heard the outrage. And then you saw the headlines that followed. Angel Reese suspended indefinitely. It felt like the inevitable conclusion to a story that's been spiraling all season. But what if I told you that suspension was a hoax? What if the biggest story isn't the one that went viral, but the one that's being deliberately hidden from public view? Tonight, we're not just replaying the drama. We are peeling back the layers of a viral lie to expose a much more complicated and troubling reality inside the Chicago Sky organization. We'll connect the dots between a frustrated star, a silent front office, and an underreported warning from the general manager that may have been the spark that lit the fuse. We're filtering out the noise to find the truth. And if you're here for that real story, the one behind the headlines, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It lets us know you're part of the team that looks deeper. So let's start by rewinding the tape. Not just to the incident itself, but to the final, frantic minutes of the game that set the stage for the explosion. It was July 7th, and the Chicago Sky were locked in a brutal, back-and-forth war with the Washington Mystics on national television. This wasn't a blowout. It was a game that mattered, and every possession felt like a battle. The Sky are fighting to save a season that's been slipping through their fingers, currently sitting at a painful 5 wins and 13 losses. And right in the middle of it all, Angel Reese was putting on a clinic. She was playing with the fire and intensity that defines her, dropping a dominant 22 points and grabbing 15 rebounds. This was another monster double-double, the kind of performance that should have been the only headline. But with just 29.9 seconds left on the clock and the game tied at 77-77, the pressure reached its boiling point. During a timeout, as assistant coach Ann Crosby held up a clipboard, Reese, in a flash of raw frustration, did this.
Is walking over to the bench and she slaps the clipboard out of her coach's hand.
Is walking over to the bench and she slaps the clipboard out of her coach's hand. The Sky would go on to lose the game by 2 points, but that loss was immediately overshadowed by the single act that was clipped, posted, and spread across the internet like wildfire. The narrative was set in stone within minutes.
It's another day of the Angel Reese drama because she has simply smacked the clipboard out of an assistant coach's hands. Yes.
It's another day of the injury drama because she has simply smacked the clipboard out of an assistant coach's hands. Yes. And with that one act, the narrative was off to the races. Before the players had even hit the locker room, the internet court of public opinion had reached its verdict. It was swift and it was brutal. Commentators, fans, and critics immediately labeled the act as the ultimate sign of disrespect.
But this is some Bush League lack of respect. This behavior can't happen.
But this is some Bush League and lack of respect. This behavior can't happen. The conversation wasn't about if she should be punished. It was about for how long. The calls for a suspension were immediate and loud, coming from every corner of the sports world.
The games, and I think just continue to fight through that and keep pushing through that will be great for us.
And completely disrespectful by Angel. 2 games suspension at minimum, bro. At minimum. This wasn't just speculation. It was a demand. The pressure was immense, and the narrative quickly solidified. Several YouTube channels and dozens of social media accounts began reporting as fact that the Chicago Sky had already made their decision. The rumor mill claimed Reese had been hit with an indefinite suspension for conduct detrimental to the team. It was the #1 story, the logical end to a pattern of behavior from a player who leads the league in technical fouls. The story made perfect sense. And this is where the story most people saw effectively ended. The digital breadcrumbs painted a simple picture. A star player acted out, crossed a line, and was swiftly punished by her team. It was clean, it was simple, and it was exactly what everyone expected to happen. But as we've learned time and time again, the real story is never that simple. The most viral version of events is often just the surface level of a much deeper game being played behind the scenes. The entire world was reporting on the suspension, but as the hours turned into days, a strange silence fell over the one place that mattered, the Chicago Sky front office. So what was really going on? So let's cut directly through the noise and get to the truth that was buried under an avalanche of speculation. Here is the fact that changes the entire narrative. As of this recording, on the night of July 10th, 2025, there has been zero official confirmation of a suspension for Angel Reese. Not from the Chicago Sky, not from the NBA. Nothing. The indefinite suspension for conduct detrimental to the team that fueled 1,000 hot takes and dominated the conversation for days, it was a ghost, a viral hoax, a fiction created by the internet echo chamber, which ran so far with a rumor that it was mistaken for reality. And this is where our investigation truly begins, because this is where things get infinitely more complex. In a situation this volatile, with this much public pressure, silence isn't a lack of a story. The silence is the story. It's a deliberate choice that tells us more than any press release ever could. So the question we need to be asking isn't, why was she suspended? The real, far more interesting question is, why wasn't she? And what does that reveal about the real power structure inside the Chicago Sky organization? There are powerful forces at play here, and the team's decision to do nothing is our first clue that this goes much deeper than one player losing her cool. We're going to explore two major theories that explain the team's silence. And the first one, well, it's all about the money. This brings us to our first theory, which we'll call the Asset Protection Program. To understand it, we have to stop thinking about Angel Reese as just a basketball player and start seeing her for what she is, to the league and to her sponsors, a massive, revenue-generating asset. Let's look at the facts. In just her second year, Angel Reese is a two-time WNBA All-Star. That alone makes her a cornerstone player. But the story gets much bigger. This is the same player who was just announced as the cover athlete for the NBA 2K26 WNBA edition. And she's not just on the cover, she's debuting her first Reebok signature shoe on it. Let that sink in. A signature shoe deal and the cover of the biggest basketball video game in the world. That isn't just stardom, that's a corporate partnership worth millions, with marketing plans laid out months, if not years in advance. Now put yourself in the shoes of the Chicago Sky front office. On one hand, you have a player whose on-court behavior is creating a firestorm of negative press. But on the other, that same player is a commercial juggernaut who brings in eyeballs, sells merchandise, and elevates the profile of your entire franchise. Do you suspend her for smacking a clipboard and risk upsetting your sponsors, the league, and the developers of NBA 2K26? Do you tarnish the brand you are financially tied to? It creates a massive dilemma. And from a purely business perspective, the team's silence starts to look less like weakness and more like a calculated financial decision. Why announce a suspension and validate the negative headlines when you can handle it internally, protect your investment, and let the news cycle move on? This is the conflict at the heart of the modern WNBA.
She can't get out of her own way. And I don't give a rat's how frustrated she is.
She can't get out of her own way. And I don't give a rat's how frustrated she is. That statement might be true from a fan's perspective, but the front office has to weigh that frustration against her immense marketability. So what do you do when your biggest headache is also your biggest asset? It's a tough question. Let me know your take in the comments below. But the money angle is only half of the story. There's another, equally compelling theory for the team's silence, one that points to a much deeper problem within the Sky's locker room. This brings us to theory number 2, and it's a much darker one. We'll call it the power vacuum. This theory argues the Sky's silence isn't a strategic choice to protect an asset, but a symptom of a much bigger problem, that the coaching staff has lost control of its star player and possibly the entire locker room. Let's be direct. The critics aren't just whispering about this, they're shouting it.
Tyler Marsh has no control over this basketball team. At this point, it looks like his leadership is questioned as a head coach with some of the tactics and things that go down with Angel Reese and this damn basketball team.
Tyler Marsh has no control over his basketball team. At this point, it looks like his leadership is questioned as a head coach with some of the tactics and things that go down with injuries in their basketball team. That's a heavy accusation, but is there evidence to support it? First, let's remember a key fact. Head coach Tyler Marsh is in his first year leading the team. He's a rookie head coach managing one of the biggest and most challenging personalities in the sport. That dynamic is difficult enough, but then you have to look at the pattern of behavior that led us here. This clipboard incident wasn't the first time Angel Reese has publicly displayed her frustration. She leads the WNBA with 5 technical fouls this season. And just one day before the clipboard incident, after a tough loss to the Minnesota Lynx, she went scorched earth on the league's officiating in a post-game press conference.
And she's getting destroyed.
But that has to be fixed. And I don't give a damn if I get fired because I should cheat. And I am tired of the shit. Because I've been nice and I've been humble with it. But I am tired of the shit. When your star player publicly dares the league to fine her and faces no visible internal consequences from her team, it sends a powerful message that she operates outside the normal rules of accountability. From this perspective, the team's silence on the clipboard incident isn't a strategy. It's paralysis. It's the action of a coaching staff that may be afraid to challenge its star player for fear of losing her completely. This is what a power vacuum looks like, and many analysts believe it's directly connected to their record.
Coach do not have control of this basketball team, hence why they could be losing these damn games, man.
Coach to not have control of this basketball team, hence why they could be losing these damn games, man. So you have two competing theories. Is the front office playing 4D chess to protect their multi-million-dollar asset? Or is the coaching staff simply unable to control a team that's spiraling? The truth is likely a combination of both, but there are still a few more dots to connect. So what could possibly connect the asset protection theory with the power vacuum theory? There's one more critical piece to this puzzle. A key detail that has been almost completely overlooked in the chaos of the clipboard slap. It's a reported rumor from inside the Sky organization that reframes the entire narrative of pressure. According to media reports, just prior to these recent outbursts, Chicago Sky general manager Jeff Pagliocca had reportedly warned Angel Reese directly, telling her the team needed more production from her. Let's stop and analyze that as investigators. More production from a player who is averaging nearly 13 points and 13 rebounds a game. A player setting records for consecutive 15 rebound games. A player who, on the night of the incident itself, put up 22 and 15. When the front office is telling a player who is already carrying the statistical load of a 5 and 13 team that it's still not enough, what does that do to the pressure cooker environment? It weaponizes it. The frustration we see on the court is no longer just about losing. It's about the impossible weight of trying to single-handedly save a failing season while being told by your own GM that you need to do more. This context doesn't excuse slapping a clipboard, but it provides a powerful explanation for the boiling point we all witnessed. And it's in that context that we have to look at Angel Reese's own words after the incident. In a post on X, she wrote, quote, "Those blank were pissing me off. Shout out to Anne because she know it was the heat of the moment and she didn't let me apologize because she knew. Not happening again though." Now on the surface, it's an apology, but the key phrase here for any narrative analyst is "she knew." It suggests that the person at the center of the incident, assistant coach Ann Crosby, understood the pressure and frustration. It implies the issue was resolved right then and there between two professionals in a competitive environment. This paints a picture of a human moment that was resolved internally, while the outside world was concocting a narrative of a team-breaking, suspension-worthy crime. It just doesn't add up.
Backs the clipboard out the assistant coach hands. Just not a good look from Angel Reese as a basketball player. Just like I stated, man, she's supposed to be a leader among young women across the world.
I think we just have great teammates, great vets, great coaches that continue to close and just keep working and keep pushing. It's this contradiction. The public support for her team versus the private frustration from the pressure that defines her entire season and brings us to our final unavoidable conclusion. So here is the final conclusion when you connect all the dots. The story of Angel Reese's indefinite suspension was a complete and total hoax, a piece of viral fiction that distracted from a much more troubling reality. The real story isn't about a single act of disrespect, it's about a perfect storm brewing in Chicago, a franchise caught between protecting its most valuable commercial asset and admitting it has a profound leadership crisis. The team's silence wasn't a precursor to a punishment, it was a sign of organizational paralysis, exposing a power vacuum where a rookie coach, a frustrated star, and a demanding front office are now locked in a collision course. The clipboard slap wasn't the crime. It was just the evidence of a team that is cracking at the seams. So, what's your take on all this? We want to hear from you, our fellow narrative analysts. Who do you think is most responsible for the chaos brewing in Chicago? Is it Angel Reese for her actions, head coach Tyler Marsh for his perceived lack of control, or the general manager for applying what seems to be impossible pressure? Let us know your theory in the comment section below. We are going to be following every move the Sky make, from trade whispers to the next sideline interaction. To make sure you get the real story and not the viral fiction, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. And finally, if this video helped you see the deeper game being played, share it with another WNBA fan who is tired of the hot takes and wants the real analysis. Help us continue to filter out the noise.